Cobb with you here, and we got the game, of course, tomorrow. Big game. Eagles in the playoffs hosting the New York Giants, and I've got to talk about the Eagles' offense. The Eagles' multifaceted Jalen Hurts offense, which is the offense that needs to play tomorrow. The Eagles have got to go ahead and get back into what they were doing earlier in the year, which is they were throwing the kitchen sink at opposing defenses. And the key, of course, is going to be Jalen Hurts. And I would advise Jalen, depending, it seems like his shoulder is still sore. I think that what he should do is go ahead and run the offense. If you're in a position where you could slide, you slide. You don't take the hits. You avoid the hits. You go ahead and slide. But they need the threat of him running the football. They need to have that threat there. And if he's in a position where he's getting ready to get hit, go ahead and slide, Jalen. Slide, but they still need that threat of you running. So I would still call those plays where you got the read option, you got the RPOs, the run-pass options, where he's got the opportunity where he can pull the ball out of the stomach of the running back and take off around the corner. That is something they need in that offense. And I would lean on those offensive linemen too, where, look, the Eagles didn't always have that in their offense. Like last year, they were running the ball on people, and they weren't allowing him to run as much. They were just running that standard offense. They need to be able to run that if that's what's necessary. Look, you need to tell the big guys up front. You're talking about, Jason Kelce. You got, you got Mailata out there at the left tackle and Lane Johnson at the right tackle, and hopefully he'll be healthy enough to go ahead and play the entire game and be effective and be the Pro Bowl right tackle that he's capable of being, and we've seen throughout his career. Hopefully he'll be healthy enough to do that, because they need the offensive line to open up holes so they can run the ball. And we need Miles Sanders healthy enough to run it. So hopefully he'll be able. I know he had a knee issue. And they're going to sprinkle in Boston Scott and everybody there, those running backs, those backup running backs. They will be in there running the ball, of course, with Kenneth Gainwell. But the running backs, so they have their role. But starts with Jalen Hurts. How healthy is Jalen? Like I said, they got to be able to have that run threat of him taking off with the ball. And that means there are going to be opportunities when he sees it's there, and he's going to be able to run, let's say, for 15 yards and then run out of bounds. That's the best scenario. So he doesn't get hit. He runs for 15 yards. He gives them something to worry about. That occupies another defender, and that's going to open things up for Miles and for Boston Scott and for Kenneth Gainwell. That's going to open things up in that running game, and they need the offensive line firing out, coming off with the double team where they double team a guy, and the Giants have some outstanding players on their defensive front, so it's not going to be cakewalk. It's going to be, they got a battle on their hands. But the Eagles have the best offensive line. They got a group of offensive linemen that know how to work together because they're familiar with each other. They've got to get that defensive line moving off the line, and then you come off and pick up a linebacker, and the other guy takes that guy, but you help two guys get the guy moving off the line of scrimmage, and then one of the guys comes off and gets the linebacker, but you get them moving backwards. That's what the Eagles have got to do. They've got to win that line of scrimmage. And once they do that, then, once you get that running game going, the Giants are done because there's no way they can deal with all of the weapons. And I know they've got some of their corners back, but they cannot deal with the weapons the Eagles have with their offensive attack. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and you also have Quez Watkins. They can't cover all of those guys. They cannot deal with them. So they're going to be guys open. If they get that running game going and they're going to get the Giants off balance, and, Wink Martindale, he'll be trying his blitzes and everything. But if they get that running game going on them, then they're in trouble. they're going to be sweating. And they get on the attack because there's so many things they can, so many problems they create when they get the running game going, and also spring up a little Jalen Hurts and his running. And so that's why if he can take off, it's going to open up everything, and the Giants' defense is done. They'll be able to march on those guys and put up the points. And once they get ahead of them, if they get ahead of the Giants are in major trouble because they don't have an offense made to come back. Daniel Jones does not throw the ball that well. He is not a master of the passing attack where he can come out and just throwing the ball every play. No, they need the running game. Giants got to have a lot of that running game in order for Daniel Jones to be effective. And if the Eagles get out in front of them, they are in major trouble because then the Eagles will be able to get a pass rush after them, and they'll be ahead. I mean, they'll be able to lay it on because once they get that running game going and then they go through the air, the Giants are in major trouble because they cannot, man for man, they cannot really deal with the Eagles and the all of the weapons they have. And so that's the goal, to get them into that point. But the key is Jalen Hurts. You know, he's got to be able to present that threat. And now he doesn't have to take the shots and where you go all the way through the play to the point you're running so hard and you're trying to run over people and all that. No. I don't think he's ready for that. Slide, get on the ground. That's okay. Just, take what they give you, get on the ground. But just present that threat to where you will keep the ball. And that's going to open up things inside for Miles and the rest of the running backs, because those guys that have contained, they can't come in and help because there's a risk of Jalen keeping the ball and taking off. So if he just keeps them honest, it's going to open up that running game inside. And they're going to be able to slice and dice the Giants. And that's going to be the key. That's a big key because once you do that, then you start play action pass. Guys are going to be wide open. And Jalen will be able to connect with those guys. And I see a big game for Dallas Goedert. He's the guy that's going to be major problems. They cannot account for him with their linebackers, with the linebackers worried about Jalen Hurts. They're worried about the running game. And then they got to cover a tight end like Dallas Goedert. No way they can do all of that. So that's where, they're getting some major problems. And that's the same with not only the linebackers, the safeties. They got to cover Dallas Goedert, but they also have to worry about the Eagles running game. I think Eagles have them just where they want them. And then they come over and slice them up, like a machete taken to them. To slice the Giants up because their defense, they've got some quality players. A number of them stand out, but, I think throughout they don't have the skill level the Eagles have. Now, I see a big game. A.J. Brown, of course, Devontae Smith, those guys getting in on action, but the big game is going to be Dallas Goedert. He's going to be able to where he's going to be wide open on play action pass once they get that running game going. And it's going to be a big day for the Eagles. Big night, I should say. Not a day. It's going to be a night game. Big night for the Birds, and it should be exciting. But they've got to get that threat. They need the threat of Jalen Hurts keeping the football. And depending on how sore his arm is, you don't want to put him at risk. So you tell him, look, just slide. Just slide. You don't need to be carrying people, breaking tackles. No, we don't need that. We just need the threat of you running with the ball. And once he can get that, I think they're going to be fine. But, I'm excited to see that offensive line with Isaac Seumalo on one side, Lane Dickerson on one side of Jason Kelsey. And then you got the tackles with Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson. And hopefully, like I said, that Lane Johnson's healthy enough to go because he's one of the anchors of that offensive line. He's one of the major anchors of that offensive line. So hopefully he'll be healthy enough to be able to play the entire game and be effective. But they got to get that running game going, and then they're going to open up everything. That whole offense will be able to slice and dice the Giants' defense. And it should be exciting. But the Birds, This is all the work they've been putting in throughout the season. It's all about getting it done tomorrow night at Lincoln Financial Field, where the Eagles come out and jump all over the Giants. You know, they got to just go ahead and dominate them because they're capable of dominating. They got a better team. But you got to show up and you got to do it. And the Giants are feeling all confident. They scored some points against a sorry Minnesota defense. And the Minnesota offense with Cousins and the fact that they let the Giants take away, Jefferson. That was a mistake. You don't let them take away your number one weapon like that. Well, there's no way the Giants can take away the Eagles' weapons because they've got so many weapons. You could have a big game by Devontae Smith. It could be a big game by Quez Watkins or, of course, AJ. They got numerous guys that can dominate them, but I think Dallas got it. Remember, he's the guy that's going to have the big night, and that's going to be a dominating game because once they get him into it, they're utilizing the tight end. Then you got all these other guys are going to open up, man. They're going to be wide open because of the success of the running game and the fact that you got all these receivers who are all able to do their thing, and they're all going to be very effective. And the key, though, is Jalen. And I would advise that what Jalen does tomorrow is he runs, and when he gets in traffic, get on the ground with the slide. They can't really hit you when you slide. So come in, run, then you go ahead and slide. Don't be taking a whole lot of hits. We don't need you taking a whole lot of hits. We just need the threat of you running the football. So that's where we're at. I see big game by the Birds. I said, 27-13. That's what I'm thinking. 27-13 Birds. Maybe even worse. Maybe they go up into the 30s. But definitely I see a dominating performance by the Eagles against a Giants team that's in over their head. That's what they are. They're in over their head, and they're going to get after Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. It's going to be Birds. The Birds taking this thing. That's what's going to be. And so we look forward to an exciting game. But the Eagles offense getting going with Jalen Hurts running but not putting himself in danger. And then you got that running game gets going with Miles Sanders and Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell. They get going. And then you have the receivers. You got the passing game with all of the weapons that they have where they just slice up the Giants. To where Giants fans are turning off the TV. They don't even want to see it. It's so much of a butt whooping. That's what we want to put on these boys. A spanking. We want to make it abusive. To where they go, oh no, I can't take this anymore. They're just dominating us. They're just scoring every other play. We want to dominate them because then we're sending a message to the next team the Eagles are going to face either the Cowboys or the 49ers to let them know it's no fun coming to Lincoln Financial Field to play the Philadelphia Eagles. You're going to have no fun. It's going to be a dominating performance. And that's what we want to see from Jalen Hurts and the boys. And I think that's what we're going to get. So we'll check you out. I'll talk to you afterwards.